Hello and welcome to my channel. Winter cycling is different. Winter cycling can be a real joy, and winter cycling can suck. I am George Schlacek.
The one and only.
And I'm not a winter cyclist. I'm a cyclist. That's it. When winter comes, I first don't notice it, and then I adapt as necessary. Sometimes that's a struggle, but it beats not cycling.
Well, this camera is probably going to die at any minute, but I'll start talking anyways. I was going to bring you some winter riding tips. And the winter riding tips, I divide them into three different categories because I think there are three major problems with winter and riding your bicycle, the combination of them. Number one is staying warm. Staying warm on that bike, that's challenge number one. Then we have number two, and that would be staying safe on your bike. Yeah, keeping the shiny side up, not crashing, not wiping out. That's number two. Number three, I think, is the maintenance on your bike, or the toll that the winter takes on your bike. There's increased corrosion. Yeah, the corrosion gets bad because of the stuff we put down to keep the traction on the roads. So a lot of these materials melt the ice, but they only do that because they're corrosive, and that stuff kills your bike. So those are the three things, and right now I believe that my battery is probably going to die any second here, so we're going to do the rest indoors. Thank you.
So let's talk about the challenges one by one. I'll tell you about what I do and encourage you to share your tips and tricks in the comments. How do you stay warm on your bike when it's minus 25 or colder outside? The short answer is that you have to wear more clothes. Do so in layers. For your legs, you can wear long johns under your pants. Your torso will stay warmer with each layer you add. I like to wear a t-shirt covered by a hoodie, then a sweater, and finally my coat. If you have the budget for it, merino wool is highly recommended as it can retain heat even when it gets moist, like from sweating. However, any layer is better than no layer. Most of the time, the clothes you already have will be sufficient to keep you warm if you wear enough of them. Now let's talk about the more vulnerable areas of your body when it comes to heat loss. First, your head. Your head is possibly the body part that loses heat fastest. What can you do about it? I've seen different strategies here and thought about it a lot. Some cyclists like to wear a toque under their helmet, a scarf around their neck, and a face mask or balaclava. They will protect their eyes with the ski mask. This seems like an effective approach when it comes to staying warm. It seems? Yes, that's because at this point I have to admit that my own method is different and admittedly not without problems. I wear this really warm hat with ear flaps over the hood of my hoodie. Then put the hood of my coat over that. It leaves my face unobstructed and out in the cold, but that's the way I like it. The rest of my head is super warm. The problem and reason I cannot recommend this, it's because that setup is lacking a helmet. In my city, it's legal to ride without a helmet, and I'm okay with that. I just adapt my riding to conditions and use extra caution. Now, I can understand why most people would not go there, would not accept this kind of risk. For those business savvy people out there, why don't you design a well-insulated winter helmet for cycling? It'll probably sell millions. And since you heard that tip here, send me $1 for each one you sell. Thank you.
Note: winter bike helmets are actually available. I just didn't know about it. But are they as warm as my hat? I don't know. Maybe it's time to go shopping.
Let's talk about your hands and feet now. My biggest struggle is keeping my fingertips from freezing. The only way I can is by wearing those mittens. I put hand warmers in there when it's below minus 20. One thing to know about those is that they are air activated. When they don't give off heat, simply take them out for a minute and shake them. After your ride, put them in a Ziploc bag so they're sealed. You can then reuse them again for your next ride. They can provide up to 10 hours of heat. Another great thing are pogies or handlebar mittens. I'm actually planning to make some and show them to you in an upcoming video. We need warm feet too, so toe warmers of the same kind as the hand warmers are also available. They'll even stick to your socks. What else for the feet? I wear wool socks and the best winter boots I got, even if they're bulky. I never said winter cycling was going to be the same as in the summer. Sorry. Now that you're warm enough to walk around the South Pole, let's talk about safety. Question number 1. Are you sharing the road with motorized vehicles? I honestly believe that this poses your greatest risk. If you can avoid it, do so. Roads get covered with snow and ice. On a bicycle, you're always performing a balancing act, and reduced traction makes this even more challenging. Drivers, on the other hand, often believe that they have more of a right to the road than cyclists. Often, they drive too fast to control their vehicle properly, especially when they notice you last minute, perhaps too late because maybe they were on their phone or distracted. Point is, you don't have any protection from their vehicles. Stay as far away as you can.
I don't know if you could see behind me, a lady just hit a signpost there, and she wasn't going fast or anything. It's just the way it is.
Choosing the right route can make the difference between a dangerous trip and an enjoyable ride. Consider taking a detour if it takes you away from busy roads. If you must share the road, make sure you're visible from far. Wear bright colors and turn on your lights.
You could see my light here. The green one is covered up by the bag, but I have another one in the front for these cases. It is attached to the fork. They're the flashing ones you can recharge.
Have some reflectors too. Next tip on the list is about winter tires for your bike. Studded tires are not cheap, but if you do a lot of winter riding, they're well worth it. The commercial ones have carbide-tipped studs that will not wear off for a long time. Your one-time investment can serve you for years.
See those studs? These ones, they actually have only 2 rows of studs. The same tires are available with 2 more rows of studs, and they cost double the money.
If you cannot afford studded tires, go to your local community bike shop and buy a used set of knobby tires, or you can get inexpensive new ones at a store. Then get some number 6 sheet metal screws, probably about a 1/4 inch length. A box of 100 will only cost a few bucks. You then drill through the knobs of the tire at regular spacing all the way around. Insert the metal screws from the inside of the tire.
See, these are homemade studs. They're actually little sheet metal screws. See, this one is a bit rusty. So is this one.
Voila! You now have a studded tire. One requirement is a liner to protect your inner tube from the screw heads. You can use an old inner tube for that. Check that liner at the beginning of a new season. The screws will rub through it over time.
These homemade studs, I heard they are inferior to if you spend $100 or more on commercial studded tires.
Even with studded tires, the risk of wiping out on ice is not eliminated. Adapt your riding style to the conditions. Be especially careful on hills. Sometimes the roads will get too icy to ride safely. It's okay to skip riding your bike on those days. When riding on slippery surfaces, remember not to use your front brake. That's because if the wheel locks up, you lose traction immediately and it's almost certain that you'll crash. Don't crash. Brakes are important. Make sure they're adjusted properly and work well. This leads me to the third set of winter challenges. The maintenance for your bike. First tip on that, a winter bike should be as simple as possible. There's just less stuff to worry about that way. I use a mountain bike from the 1980s with friction shifters and a 12-speed setup. It now has full fenders. I would not recommend any fancy suspension fork in winter condition. Why? Because the salt that accumulates on the roads over the winter will destroy them. That salt is your friend when it comes to safety, but your enemy when it comes to maintaining your bike. Some places add sand to the mix and you can already imagine what it does to your drivetrain. Your defense is keeping the bike as clean as possible. Use a dry lube for your chain if you can, because it's less likely to attract dirt. Lubricate often and rinse off the bike when you can. Sometimes that's impossible, especially if you live in a place where temperatures stay below freezing for longer periods of time. I started using a spray bottle with windshield washer fluid to rinse off the bike. You may not want to do that around your garden. I have to admit that this is a lot of stuff to remember. Winter cycling is not the same, that's for sure. Some of you hardcore cyclists are used to clipping in on the pedals and that sort of thing. Well, I don't think that's advisable in the winter. Correct me if I'm wrong. Here's a quick summary. For staying warm, dress in layers and wear merino wool if you can. Do not neglect your head as it will lose heat very fast. Wear good gloves or mittens and wool socks under good winter boots. Use hand warmers or toe warmers if it gets really cold. For staying safe, choose your route carefully. Be visible and adapt your riding style to conditions. Use studded tires for traction. Skip cycling when it is too icy. Beware of using the front brake. Finally, keep your bike well lubricated and clean. Have a dedicated winter bike if you can and make sure it is as simple as possible. With that, I'm wishing everyone a great winter season. Riding outside beats indoor trainers when it's possible. Stay warm and stay safe. Oh, and of course, hit the like button once.